So, dear friends, we are already free. We're just enjoying ourselves, having fun, listening to the bell. Dear friends, good morning. Today is the 29th, thank you. I have no idea. The 29th of April in the year 2022, and we are in the Beukenhof in the Netherlands. And this is the first day of our retreat. Or the first and a half day. So what are we doing? What are we doing here? What's the point? Practicing, yes. Another way to say the same thing is we are training our minds. The Buddha said that there is something that can lead to the greatest suffering, which is an untrained mind. And there is something which can lead to the greatest happiness and freedom, which is a mind that is trained. When I first heard that, I had some resistance coming up, which I noticed, because in my worldview at the time, I thought the most important thing was to be free. And if I train my mind too much, and it will become rigid and not free. And I want to be creative and free and independent, and so I'm not sure that I want to train so much. But over the years I have come to appreciate this guidance from the Buddha more and more. So what do we mean by training the mind? That word training may bring up something for us, which is not exactly what the Buddha meant, so we have to be very careful. What did he mean? Before this retreat, we asked some of you to write in some questions that were on your heart, so that we could get more in touch with what's going on in the Netherlands and what's going on for you as a Sangha. And we've been sitting with those questions over the last few days. And there was one that struck me in particular, and somebody, I don't know who, said something like this, that they feel better whenever they listen to Thai. And their question was, how can I maintain that feeling when I'm not listening to Thai? How can I stay like that all the time? It's fine when I'm listening to Thai, I press play on YouTube, it feels so wonderful. But when Thai is not there, when Thai is not speaking, then it doesn't feel the same. So how can we sustain that type of feeling, that type of being as well? Well, I have a suggestion which I'd like us to explore together in this talk, which is that the practice is not a set of methods or techniques that we can learn and then just repeat. It's not. Sorry. I hope that's okay. So what is it if it's not that? Because there is some aspect of method, there's some things that we can learn and do, but there's something more. And I believe that when we are listening to Thai, seeing Thai, being with Thai, we receive much more than what is said. We receive a lot more than what is in the explicit transmission of method. So there's more than what you can write down in your book. And what is that? We have to be alert to that. We have to be sensitive to that. We have to be able to feel, what is it that Thai is transmitting to me that I cannot write down? So there's a quality. There's a quality to his voice, to the way he moves, to the way he sits. And we can start to notice those qualities. And we can tell ourselves, actually it's not just Thai, because when I'm with Thai, I feel those things. I feel more light, I feel more fresh, I feel more joyful, I feel more peaceful, I feel more free. Maybe I feel more generous, more compassionate. I have more space. So Thai is helping us in that moment to activate those potentials that we have within us, because we do have those. If we didn't have those potentials, then we wouldn't feel like that when we're with Thai. So we do have them. And Thai is just helping us to press the right buttons or to find the right frequency. And if we can be sensitive to that, we can start to learn how that feels, how it feels to be that free, how it feels to be that joyful, how it feels to borrow for a moment Thai's quality of wonder. Wonder. Do we have enough wonder in our lives? Thai described to us one time his practice in the early morning when he wakes up. I don't know which tense to use when he woke up. Is Thai still with us? Is he not? Who knows? Anyway, he said that that morning when he woke up, it was very cold in the winter retreat. He was staying in Upper Hamlet. And he opened the tap, the water, just a tiny bit just enough so that one drop at a time was falling. You see how he opens the tap? This is not a normal way to open the tap. How attentive do you have to be so that just one drop falls at a time? And then with his two hands cupped, he received those drops falling. And he received them as if they were drops of snow melting from the top of the Himalayas. Because they are. That's not just poetry, that's not imagination, that's real. The freshness, the coolness of the water I was in touch with, and then he brought that water, a few drops, to his face, and felt the coolness and the freshness on his face. Can we do that? It's not so difficult. But there's a quality of wonder and joy that you have to even think of doing that. Why would you do that? What's the point? I don't have time. I'm busy. I just have to, wash my face and get on with my day. No. Water. Wow. Do you know that all the water on planet Earth is older than the solar system? This is very old. It's more than 4 or 5 billion years old. It came to us in the form of iceteroids. Not asteroids, but iceteroids. From the outer solar system, in the early phase of the development of planet Earth. We were bombarded with ice. And that's the same water that falls from your tap every day. It hasn't been unmade and remade, it's just been cycling. Cycling through the oceans, the rivers, the vapor, the clouds, the rain, the snow, the hail, the mist. It's the same water. Ancient. So, a little bit of wonder is very nice. It's refreshing. So Tai said something which I like to offer you again today. Tai said, "It is my conviction that we cannot change the world if we're not able to change our way of thinking, our consciousness." So this also has something to do with training the mind. Training the mind to be able to change our mind. To change our view. To change our ideas, to change our perceptions, to change our way of understanding what is going on, to change our way of living. We know we are living in a crisis. Not just one, many crises intersecting. It's not difficult to know that we are in a crisis. Sometimes we may feel frustration. Why are we not doing more? Why do our politicians not do more? Why does our society not do more? Why do the businesses not do more to change? But Tai would say, if we haven't changed our way of living yet, it's because the awakening is not yet strong enough. So this is our task. To have a stronger awakening. So if we want to change our way of thinking, to transform profoundly our consciousness, the question is how? How do we do that? And this we can call the art of happiness, the art of suffering. Knowing how to suffer well, knowing how to generate joy. These two aspects of the practice can give us the freedom to be able to change our way of thinking, to change our consciousness. When we take good care of our suffering, then we have more space, more freedom to be able to change our mind. It's a gradual path, but it's one that we can engage with right now. So let's suppose I ask you to use your imagination. Let's say that we've been a bit stirred up. Let's say, suppose you've just watched the news, or you've read something on the news, on your phone, wherever you read the news. And it's not difficult to imagine that the news isn't great. We know right now that there's a terrible heat wave in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh. The deaths aren't being reported yet, but probably many people are dying from heat stroke. There's been sustained temperatures of 45 degrees, it's going up, still going up, 46, 47, some parts of Pakistan, 49, 50 degrees. And it's not stopping. That's happening now. Doesn't feel good. So there's that. There's a war. It's not so far away. It seems to be escalating. No end in sight. Thousands of people dead already. People, millions displaced. What will happen next? What will happen to us? So let's just suppose that's happened. You've read the news. You're already feeling a little bit stirred up. Maybe on top of that, there's too many emails in your inbox. A fairly realistic scenario. I know it's true for me. Sometimes I feel like Holland, actually. I feel like the country of Holland. I have to have dikes against the flood of emails. But the dikes aren't high enough and the emails keep coming over the top. So then I'm bailing, pumping emails out. It's exhausting. So you've got the bad news, you've got too many emails in your inbox, you don't have time to reply to them all. People want things from you, they expect things from you, they expect a reply. They expect a nice reply. Now, preferably yesterday. And let's suppose that on top of that you have some problems with your loved ones. Can happen. Somebody in the family, problem in communication, misunderstanding, painful situation. Maybe it's been going on for a while. Not sure how to resolve it. Maybe on top of that there's some financial concerns. Yeah, prices of fuel's going up, price of food is going up, price of everything is going up. Except the minimum wage, right? The minimum wage doesn't go up, everything else goes up. Maybe it's not for you, maybe for your children, maybe you're concerned about their future. And then on top of all of that, somebody says something. Somebody says something to you not so skillful. And you feel hurt. Maybe somebody sends you an article that you don't like, that disagrees with your view. An article which is contradictory to your view about politics, or about health, or about the climate. Has that ever happened? Surely not. And you feel something, right? There's a reaction. So what do we do in that moment? This is a real question, okay? Applied practice. How do you handle that moment? There was a little girl living in Plum Village a long time ago, right at the beginning of Plum Village, and she wanted to know why Tai every day would sit down with his eyes closed and do nothing. She said, "Why, Tai, why do you do that?" So Tai showed her a glass of apple juice, and when he poured the apple juice, she didn't like to drink it because it was all cloudy. And Tai said, "Well, when you wait 10 minutes or 20 minutes, the particles, the sediment in the apple juice, it settles. The apple juice becomes very clear, and then you like to drink it." And we're like that. Sometimes we are stirred up, cloudy, and we need to know how to take some time to let all of that confusion settle. I think maybe we're not just cloudy apple juice, but we're kind of fizzy, cloudy apple juice. So we're also reactive, maybe a little bit more reactive than Tai. So we have a tendency to, the bubbles are popping. We react, we want to send an email right away, we want to say something right away, maybe we regret it later. So we want to learn how to become less reactive and have more clarity. So, there's so many things going on within us that we want to take care of. It can be something that got stirred up recently, but it can also trigger and awaken something from the past, from our childhood. It can echo or resonate with things, wounds in us that are not yet healed, and they can be reactivated. Sometimes we know where it's from, that pain that we live with. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's just like that. You wake up in the morning and you feel sad. And you don't know why. It's just like that. But how can we take care of that? How can we take good care of that? This was also a question that came to us before the retreat. That there seemed to be, there can be suffering. Maybe something happened to us of a traumatic nature, especially if it happened when we were a child. And we haven't been able to resolve it yet. It keeps getting triggered, it keeps coming up. But we believe there should be a way to train the mind, to handle the pain, to suffer better, and to have more joy and more freedom. But you don't need to take my word for it. I don't need to take my word for it, because we can test it right away. That is what I propose to do. So we're talking about training the mind. We also have the term bhavana. And it can be translated as cultivation. So if there's something that is not there yet, then we can cultivate it, we can bring it up. As Sister Dedication was saying last night in the orientation, there are so many potentials in us, and we need to know which one we need to bring up, which one we don't have enough of. It's like if you're a farmer and you don't have enough rice, then you plant more rice, and then you'll have rice. So if you don't have enough peace, then you need to know how to cultivate the seeds of peace. If we don't have enough freedom, then we cultivate the seeds of freedom. And it's kind of like changing our mindset. Instead of saying, I don't have it, I'm not good at meditation, I'm not a peaceful person, or I can't stop my thinking. You know, that's a very definitive statement. It closes everything down. It means from there you're stuck. So we change that to, I don't have it yet. Or I haven't trained that yet. Or I could train that more. I just need a little more practice. So if you have difficulty stopping your thinking, instead of saying, oh, I can't stop my thinking, I'll never be able to stop my thinking, then you say, I can't stop my thinking yet. It's just a different mindset. And it creates more space, more possibility. I think some of us, as we practice, there are times that we give up on a practice, that we say, oh, it's not for me. I'll never do that. I'll never master that. If you're a beginner, you're very lucky, because you don't have any ideas like that. So you're free. You're free to discover everything. And you can make a lot of progress very quickly. For those of us who have been at this for a little while, it's more difficult. We have to be very careful to notice when we have ideas like that that are limiting us. I think there are those of us who may think that in this lifetime, I will not see deeply into the truth of no birth and no death. Maybe that's not for me. My practice isn't deep enough. So I will just devote myself to working for the Sangha. Maybe I can be a good organizer, but I'll never be awakened, so okay, next life. I've heard things like that. And we give up on our practice. But I invite you to be stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. And if you know how to use your stubbornness in the right way, it can be very helpful in the practice. What is stubborn? No? In touch. Can someone help? Something head? Hard head? Yeah? Okay, good. So maybe the Dutch can also be stubborn. Could be? Maybe? Yeah. Yeah. So let's see if we can harness that and use that energy in the right way to support our practice. So why stubborn? What I mean is, don't settle for less. If in your walking meditation you feel that you have not been able to enter the kingdom of God, then be stubborn. Don't settle for less. Thai says, in the walking meditation, you can enter the kingdom of God. So, don't settle for anything less. It means don't give up. It means keep coming back to the basic practice. The most basic things. Let's say today, after this talk, we go for walking meditation and you practice, I've arrived, home, home. And then after a while you feel like, doesn't really work. I'm still distracted. I'm still thinking about, emails. So, okay, well, I guess I'll just probably, we got another 40 minutes of this? What's for lunch? Has that ever happened? No, surely not. But that's the point. That's the moment where you have to say, yes, I am very stubborn. I understand that when I turn off the fan, it keeps spinning for a while. It doesn't stop right away. Your mind is the same. You can say, I'm going to practice walking meditation, I will be completely free, I will be in the present moment. And then your mind goes, and it keeps going. But you have to be more stubborn. And you say, my mind has the nature of chattering, has the nature of non-stop radio. I understand, that's okay. But I'm very stubborn. And I'm going to come back again to this very simple practice because I believe that it can go deeper, that I can arrive more fully, that I can be more truly at home. And in my experience, there is no limit to the depth of arriving or being at home. It's endless. So keep coming back, keep gently, without force, without any aggression, without any feeling bad or feeling that we're not good enough, with a lot of tenderness. Remember, all of that spirit of the practice that Thai is transmitting to us, the gentleness, the tenderness. We just come back. Yes, I can still be arriving. I could be more at home in this moment. I can let go of more of my thinking, more of my worries, more of my projects, more of my tension. And we keep coming back, very stubborn. Gently stubborn. So, we're going to employ the Dutch quality of diligence. I think the Dutch are quite diligent. No? I mean, everything looks perfect. It's amazing. All the houses are neat and tidy, all the grass is cut, all the fields are straight and the roads are straight, and everything is very well organized and efficient, and that has to come from a very diligent people. So we want to be able to also use that quality of diligence. Eifere? Eifere. I think you know what I mean, right? Toegewijd. Huh? Okay, good. So the Buddha, when he woke up, he spent several weeks afterwards seeing if he could find a way to articulate the process of his awakening in order to be able to share it with others. And what he offered to us is a very clear step-by-step process. Remember I said the practice is not a process or a method? But there is some aspect. Hello. There is some aspect of method. So there is some method. I'm allowed to contradict myself. Okay. And there's, more important than the method, the spirit, the quality of how we apply the method. But in this method, he gave us the Noble Eightfold Path. And today we're going to look at 4 parts of the Noble Eightfold Path, and tomorrow we have the other 4. But we're going to start with diligence, right diligence, sometimes called right effort. So let's put that here. What do we mean by right diligence? Well, the Buddha is... have we got another microphone? This one's a little fussy. Okay. Should we try? Thank you. Okay, so it's very systematic. There are 4 aspects to right diligence. And the first, we can describe it as knowing how to bring up a pleasant or a positive potential that we have within us. So remember, when we don't have enough rice, we plant rice. So when we notice that we don't have enough peace, we know how to call up peace. And luckily it doesn't take a year. It's not like the rice. It's much quicker than that. Tai sometimes said we are a television of 1,000 channels. We have all of these possible channels that we can bring up, that we can call up. And we need to know which are the good channels. And there are many. So we have a compassion channel. It's there. We have a wonder channel, right? We've already talked about it a little bit. We can call up and notice our freedom from suffering. Like right now, I think, I hope, most of us are free from anger. It's amazing. So you could think that's a non-thing. That's just a nothing. I'm not angry. But it's also a thing. It's a non-anger. A non-anger is wonderful. Can you enjoy your non-anger right now? Can you taste it? Can you feel it? How wonderful it is not to be angry. It feels very good. But a moment ago you weren't aware of it. Can you feel your freedom from craving? There are moments in our life when we are ruled by craving of various kinds. But probably right now, quite free from craving. It's very pleasant. It's a kind of, we can call it feverlessness. Not having a fever is cool. Yeah, it's very cool. We're not running after anything. We're not craving anything. I imagine right now, most of us in our hearts, we don't have hatred. That's wonderful. There's something to celebrate. There's something to feel? Can I feel what it feels like not to hate? Oh, it feels very good. It feels very good. So, when one of those positive mental formations or one of those positive feelings is not present, we know how to activate it. We know how to bring it up. It's not very difficult. Sometimes it's just enough to remember it. That's how powerful our mind is. It takes a microsecond. You just have to notice, I am free from hatred in this moment. And then you can enjoy the freedom from hatred. Feel the freedom from hatred. Right now, we are not at war. Nobody's dropping bombs on us. We're safe. Can we feel how it feels to be safe? Can we let it in? Let it into your body. Feel in all of your cells how wonderful it is after all of these generations of struggle to be safe, to be free, not to be oppressed. And that doesn't mean that we are not aware of those who are not safe, those who are not free, those who are oppressed. Our awareness of our good fortune can include our awareness of the suffering. There's enough space in our hearts. And it doesn't mean we need to feel bad or feel guilty because we are more fortunate. If we know how to use our good fortune to help others, to create opportunities for others, if we know how to use our resources to help others, then there's no guilt. It means we know how to make good use of our fortune in this life. It's a wonderful thing to be able to help others, to have the freedom, to have the time, to have the resources to help others. It's a great fortune. So when we've been able to bring up a positive feeling, mental formation, the second aspect of right diligence is to be able to maintain it, to keep it there for a long time. So we need to know how to nourish it. Everything depends on food. Even our internal states, our feelings, our mental formations, they need nourishment. So we need to know how to select the right kind of nourishment to touch those positive seeds in us. And it might be as simple as pressing play on a YouTube video of Thai, like our friend did. And she said, well, whenever I listen to Thai, I feel very good. So that's a practice, is knowing what kind of thing gives rise to those wonderful feelings, and what kind of thing can sustain those wonderful feelings over a long time. This is a very good topic for Dharma sharing. We should be able to share with each other our insights into appropriate attention. It means sharing with each other the things that we have discovered that help us to sustain our peace, our compassion, our joy, and our freedom. And there are so many wonderful things that we can make use of to to feed those wonderful states. It can also be coming together as a sangha. That is food. Our practice is food. Making a delicious breakfast for our loved ones. That's food. You're nourishing your generosity, your kindness, your tenderness, your care. And you're allowed to do that. We have to give ourselves permission. Sometimes it can be that we've had a hard life. And we may feel that it's difficult to be kind to ourselves. Maybe it's easier to be kind to others sometimes. But we can also give ourselves permission from time to time to express that kindness with ourselves, to take the time to sit and enjoy a cup of tea. We are nourishing our peace, nourishing our inner space, nourishing our depth. So the third aspect of the practice of right diligence is that when an unwholesome mental formation has arisen, or when a painful feeling is there, how do we help it to go back to sleep? How do we calm it? How do we soothe it? How do we take good care of it? So this is a crucial, crucial question. How do we handle the pain? Well, the first thing is we need to notice. We need to notice that the painful feeling has arisen. We need to know that it's there and not panic. So we are also training ourselves to have the confidence that it is okay for an unpleasant feeling to be there. It is okay. We don't need to react right away. In fact, part of taking care of the painful feeling is the first two aspects of right diligence. Bringing up a feeling of joy is taking care of the pain. Helping a feeling of joy to last a long time is taking care of the pain. It's not ignoring it. It's not separate from taking care of the pain. In fact, I think one of the biggest problems I have noticed when speaking to, for example, my younger brothers, is they want to go straight for the suffering. I want to take care of the suffering right away. But the Buddha is very clear in the 16 exercises of mindful breathing. Exercise 5 and exercise 6 is knowing how to generate a feeling of joy, knowing how to generate a feeling of happiness before taking care of the painful feeling. Right? Just like we did this morning in the guided meditation. So it's connected. To take care, to bring up a feeling of joy is not spiritual bypassing. It's not ignoring the suffering. The suffering can be there with the joy. In fact, the suffering starts to be infused by the joy. If there's no joy there, when you try to handle your suffering, it may be very difficult. So part of the practice of taking care of the pain is knowing when we've had enough. Knowing when we've met our limit and I need a little bit more joy right now. I need more stability. I need more freshness to be able to come back to the pain and hold it with more tenderness. So actually I want to say a little bit more about generating a feeling of joy. So there's all of these non-bad things that we can notice. Those are wonderful things. There's the activating our sense of wonder, right? Let's say now we don't have enough wonder, perhaps. We're sitting in a room, but at the same time, we're on a planet. There's a planet right there. It's amazing. So beautiful, so vast. She's right there. And we are part of the lucky generation that we get to see her. And when the astronauts go to space, they spend a lot of time looking at Mother Earth because she's so beautiful. It's like Mother Earth is looking in the mirror and she's saying, yes, I am very beautiful. And she is. She's very beautiful. So she's allowed to say that. And we get to see those pictures or videos. So we have that in our mind. It only takes a microsecond to activate that awareness. I'm on this glorious planet. We can expand our awareness, especially if we have some pain. It's very important to be able to be more than just that pain. And so now we're talking about generating a feeling of joy and taking care of the pain at the same time. They are the same thing. So let's say you have some pain in your heart. Can you become aware of the trees outside? The trees are also us. We're not just this. We wouldn't last very long, just as this. No oxygen. So the trees are part of us. We can remember, just activate that awareness. I am vast. I am connected to the whole net of life on this planet. This vast, interconnected, beautiful, wondrous net of life. It's me. And we can expand in time. We can remember all of our ancestors who came before us. They are also here, in us, in this moment. I have the joy, the creativity, the strength of my mother, of my father, of my grandparents. And if, for example, in our family life we didn't have much happiness, we are also very fortunate because we have many streams of ancestry that we can connect to and profit from. We have Tai. And Tai is just part of a river that has been running without beginning, without end, of people who wanted to cultivate awakening, freedom and peace. We are connected to them. We are so fortunate in this generation. How many generations in the West did not have access to this teaching? And suddenly we do. Is that not a feeling of joy? Just to remember that? We're so lucky. And you have all of Thai's teaching on YouTube. Just bloop. There it is. How many others have had to struggle to translate things from Pali and Sanskrit and Chinese, and it's so complicated, and we don't agree on the translation, and now, boop, it's right there. We are so, so lucky. We also have pleasant feelings in our body, even if we also have unpleasant feelings. We need to know, where can I find the pleasant feelings? So that when I'm suffering, I have somewhere nice to go that can support me. Okay, very easy is take your hand. Okay? You can look at your hand, contemplate your hand. There are so many ways your hand can give rise to joy. First of all, we touch our gratitude. Is this your mother's hand? Is it your father's hand? Your grandparents? Is it the wing of a bat? Is it the fin of a fish? All of these ancestors have given rise to this marvel of the cosmos. It can do so many things. It's so talented, so skillful, so sensitive, so capable of communicating tenderness, of love. Our hand can do so much. And now, just feel your hand. Can you feel your fingers? What kind of sensation is there? Maybe very subtle. A little vibration, tingling in the tips of your fingers. Does it feel warm or cool? Can you feel the palm of your hand? The back of your hand? Now ask yourself, is this a pleasant feeling? Well, it's probably not unpleasant. Okay, so let's start with that. It's not unpleasant. So we stay with that feeling. Allow ourselves to become curious, fascinated. Allow that feeling to expand in our consciousness. And it may start to feel pleasant. It's very nice. Very simple. Now notice the feeling around your mouth, in your cheeks, when you smile. You have to smile. Otherwise it doesn't work. So a little smile. Okay, so you're smiling, and now you're paying attention to the sensations in your cheeks and the edges of your mouth. Some of you are not smiling. Just letting you know. Can you feel that sensation in your cheeks? It's like champagne. Sorry, we don't drink champagne. But can you feel that? That little fizzing sensation? It's light, it's bubbly, it's fresh. Can you feel it? Am I imagining it? Is it just me? No? You're not convinced. Okay. Takes some practice. It's also training to have the sensitivity to notice and to enjoy those sensations which are available to us. And when you stay with that sensation, it will grow. You'll become very pleasant. Just the physical sensation. I'm not talking about ideas, I'm not talking about stories, I'm not talking about reasons to be happy. I'm saying there is a sensation, it is pleasant. When you pay attention to it, it grows. This is my experience. I invite you to try it for yourself. See what happens. But if you can train that then becomes a resource. So I'm giving you many, many, many different ways. So that in the moment of suffering, you know what to do. You have to train it now when you're not suffering, so that when the suffering comes, you know what to do. Another very easy one for me, I just have to visualize the face of my nephew and the face of my niece. They're 8 and 10. And their love of life, their joy, their zest, it just fills me up right away. It's free. No subscription needed. No credit card. I just need to think of my nephew and niece. So is it their joy? Is it my joy? Who cares? It's joy. It's available. So I have learned to activate that joy in myself regularly. It's food. It's a very good kind of food. So we need to be very creative to find lots of ways to do that. And then when we come to the suffering, to the painful feeling, we have that foundation of joy, of well-being, of lightness, of freshness. And when we come to the suffering, we need a lot of tenderness. No violence. Our suffering has been waiting a long time for us to listen. Now when I say listen, I don't mean listening to the story of the suffering. Listening here is a metaphor. What I actually mean is to feel the sensations in the body that are brought about by that feeling of pain, by those painful things that happen to us. If we listen to the story of what happened, if we rehearse the story of what happened, we will tend to amplify the painful feeling. It will usually be a story of victimhood. This thing happened to me, these people were unkind to me, it was terrible, it was unbearable, why did she say that, why did he do that, why didn't I do that, I should have done that, next time I will. There's no end. It's like it's like a Korean drama, you know? They have 22 seasons, each one has 100 episodes, I don't know, it goes on and on and on, there's no end to the suffering. They're always upset with each other. You know, and it's endless, you just keep spinning. So that's not the way. It's not to say that it's not important what happened to us, it is. But it's not the way out to engage with that, what happened. At least not at first. So at first it's very important to take care of the feeling as a feeling. That takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of determination. Because the story will come up again and again and again, and our job is to keep letting it go. To notice when the story has come up, this happened, and oh, hello, story. Okay, not now. I'll take care of you later. Right now, I am taking care of this feeling. Oh, hello. Oh, yeah, there's a feeling of pain. Oh, yeah, it hurts. Oh, I'm so sorry. I haven't been there for you. Oh, yeah. Oh. Now I am here for you. I'm going to take good care of you. And you can be there as long as you want. It's okay. It's okay for the pain to be there. It's not an it's not a disaster, it's okay. You can be there. If we can let our pain know that it's okay, if we can have the tolerance, the space to feel, truly feel, that it can be there as long as it wants, then that is the very moment when it starts to quiet, to release. You can't fool it. You can't pretend. You can be there as long as you want. Really, you can. Just shut up already. Doesn't work. It has to be real. You have to open in your heart the possibility that it's okay for you to stay there as long as you want. And usually that is the very moment we start to feel some relief. But we can't expect the relief. We can't be searching for the relief. Any kind of striving or trying to get will be counterproductive. So what we are cultivating here is space, tolerance, tenderness, patience. Maybe we think we don't have enough tenderness in our life. Maybe our life has been hard. But there is tenderness everywhere. We can borrow it. If we didn't get it, if there was too much suffering in our family, then we just find it somewhere else. We have so many streams of ancestry that we can receive from. When you watch the video with Thai and you're with Thai, what you receive is his tenderness. Right now, we're very lucky. The Thai gave us the image that we hold our pain like a mother holds her baby with all of that love. And if you need to borrow a little bit of love and tenderness, you can just turn around and you can feel it. Yeah. Hi. Hi. So there's tenderness everywhere. We should never feel that we are a victim in that sense, that we don't have enough tenderness or patience to be with our pain. We need to be skillful in knowing how to nourish that tenderness. So, when a painful feeling has not yet arisen, we need to know how to organize our life, how to do everything for that painful feeling not to be triggered, for it not to arise. This is also the practice of appropriate attention and being aware of inappropriate attention. So let's recap a little bit. So let's just say we want to know how to bring up positive. That means plus VE, that's a positive, okay? Maintain. Oops, I got an E. Maintain the positive. Okay, how to calm a negative or unpleasant feeling, and how not to activate the negative. So this is our practice of consumption. And again, this is something that we can share with each other about. In the pandemic period, the consumption of Netflix and other streaming services has increased. We may be a part of that. Consumption of antidepressants has increased. Consumption of alcohol has increased. The problem with our painful feelings is that usually when they come up, the first thing we want to do is to cover them up. Because we don't know what to do. It's too unpleasant. It's unbearable. We don't like that feeling. So whether we are aware of the feeling or not, it pushes us. It pushes us into consumption, into trying to find something. And usually you have to find something more intense than the feeling. So you need food which is very salty, spicy, greasy, sweet, whatever, intense. You need more and more intense entertainment to cover up the feeling. And as the crisis of our world grows, we search for more and more extreme ways to cover up the pain and our awareness of the pain. But we have a better way. We actually know what to do. It's wonderful. So we also need to apply our intelligence and our discernment to the kinds of things that we consume. So let's say you are enjoying a series, right, on YouTube or on Netflix or whatever else, wherever else series live. You may like to apply your mindfulness next time you watch an episode, if you do. If you don't have to, that's even better, but if you do, then just look at it with the eyes of a meditator and ask yourself, are these people free? Are these people happy? Are these people at peace? Usually they're not, because it seems to be what we want is drama. And if you want drama, then usually the people are angry, upset, they're often unkind, intolerant, judgmental, quick to react, and they misunderstand each other, and so you can have another episode. But do we want those people to live in our consciousness? Rent-free. They're like house guests, and we have them living in our lives. And we're concerned about what's going to happen next. We think about it. But what are we eating? What are we consuming? I don't know if there's any series where what you see is people learning how to take care of their pain, their sorrow, their suffering, how to generate a feeling of joy. If there is, let me know, because that would be great. Maybe there is. Maybe someone can make that. So this is the two practices that go together with this of appropriate attention. And awareness of inappropriate attention. And making good choices. And this again is something we can discuss as a Sangha. Is it okay? Translation? You say it louder? Right. I'm not going to try and repeat that. Can you hear?
behutsame aandacht onbehulpzame aandacht. Wat moet ik vertellen?
So we're learning how to take care of the suffering. And this is a very, very effective practice. I invite you to see if you can apply it in your daily life. Generating a feeling of joy, knowing how to embrace a feeling of pain, knowing when you've had enough, when you need more joy, knowing when you need to ask for help from the Sangha to help you hold the pain if it's too much. And knowing what are we feeding. Then we have the practice which we all know of right mindfulness. So there is a kind of wrong mindfulness, potentially. You could be very, very attentive to doing something which is ethically questionable. Thai sometimes used the example of a bank robber cracking the safe. Very mindful. Right? But your intention matters. Your intention. Your aspiration. Your volition. It matters. What are we up to? What are we doing with our life, with our time, with our energy, with our resources? And if we want our practice to go deeper, we may like to generate that good intention. We have it as a practice, usually before and after a session of chanting. We have the opening verse and the closing verse, and we may get to practice those together later in the retreat. And it's a way of setting our intention to understand the Dharma, to help other people who are suffering, to offer all of the merits of our practice to others, to our parents, to our teachers, to our friends, to all living beings. This is a practice. It's not just a ritual. It means we take care of our intention. And that can actually be a condition for a deeper experience in the practice. So I'm going to go straight on, because we know about mindfulness in daily life, right? That's what we're doing. But we also have concentration. And I don't know if in the many different kinds of mindfulness offering that are now available in the world, I don't know how much we talk about concentration. But Thai emphasized this practice a lot. So it's worth investigating a little bit. What do we mean? And how can we create the conditions for concentration? We speak about mindfulness in daily life, but we could also speak about concentration in daily life. What does it look like? Again, when you sit on your cushion to do sitting meditation, it may be that you feel sometimes sleepy, or you start daydreaming. You forget even that there's a sitting meditation happening until somebody invites the bell. Oh, what's going on? Okay, hi. Right? So if that happens, it's worth asking, how can I generate concentration in my practice? How can I open the door of concentration? Well, for me, there are a few things that can be very helpful. So first of all, the practice should be enjoyable. If it's not enjoyable, your mind will not settle. This won't happen. So if you want concentration, it has to be nice. It has to be pleasant. So it's worth asking, is my practice pleasant? Do I enjoy my practice? It should be interesting. If it's not interesting, you fall asleep. Simple. So how do we make it interesting? How do we become fascinated by the breath? And this, I believe, is also important. It should be easy. And this is a mistake I think we often make. Let's say, again, our thought experiment, we've been stirred up. Our apple juice is cloudy, fizzy. We've read the news, there's problems in our family, we have bills to pay, too many emails in the inbox. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and do sitting meditation. Good luck. It's really difficult when you're that stirred up. Maybe sitting is not the appropriate practice. You have to choose something which is in relation, which is correlated with your present state of mind and of heart and of being and of feeling. It should be easy. It should be pleasant. It should be interesting. If you do decide to sit on your cushion, then what is it that we actually do? What's the first thing that we do? Right? So Sister Dedication shared with us last night the first 4 exercises of the 16 exercises of full awareness of breathing. But when I have questioned some of my younger brothers about their practice, what I notice is almost invariably they skip the first practice, or they don't understand what it really means. Right? So as Sister Dedication shared last night, the first practice is recognizing the in-breath as an in-breath, recognizing the out-breath as an out-breath. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's quite easy. What it means is, I'm breathing, and the only thing I have to do is to know, is it an in-breath or is it an out-breath? So you can try it. Oh, in-breath. Yes. Gold star. 10 points. I got it right. Is it an in-breath? No, it's an out-breath. Out-breath, yes. Right again. That's literally all you have to do. You don't mix up the in-breath and the out-breath. You know which is which. There may be many other things happening in your mind. You may be thinking of all kinds of other things in between, because it only takes a moment to recognize, is it an in-breath or is it an out-breath? And then you might be distracted, you might be thinking about something else, but you haven't done anything wrong, because you know if it's an in-breath or an out-breath. The problem is, if you sit down on your cushion and you immediately try to follow the whole length of your breath from the beginning to the end, you will probably fail. And then what you will learn and what you will train is failing. Yes, that's what we're practicing. We're practicing, I can't follow my whole breath. I can't follow my whole out breath. I got distracted again. I'm no good at this. I probably shouldn't even bother. That's practice. That's training. You're training the mind. So you have to choose a training which is easy enough that you can do it when you are disturbed, when you are jangled up. And I believe the Buddha was very compassionate and very kind. He gave us such an easy way in, a way to enter the practice. So all you have to do is identify. Is it an in-breath? Yes. I got it right again. So you need to do something which you can do, right? Which you can get right. And get it right again and again and again. And it doesn't take very long. Maybe you spend 1 or 2 minutes doing that, and you take a few in and out breaths, and you get them all right. and you feel better. It's like taking a little child by the hand. Our mind is like that. We have to be kind. We have to understand the state of our mind and offer a practice which is in accordance with the state of our mind. So if your mind is stirred up, choose something really easy. So we're going to reinforce and repeat the experience of getting it right and letting ourselves know that we got it right. Oh, I'm good at this. I know which is an in-breath and which is an out-breath. Full marks. And then naturally you become interested in the breath. And you can ask yourself, where is the beginning of the in-breath? Where does the in-breath become out-breath? It's quite mysterious. There doesn't seem to be a clear point. It's just a gradual transition of in to out to in and in to out to in. Another very important thing when you sit down on your cushion is don't try to breathe like a meditator. That's what we all do. Also, when we hear the sound of the bell, everybody fixes their posture, sits straight, and then you go, "Ah, I'm such a good meditator." Yes, I'm meditating. I always breathe like this. Yes, my breath is so long, so peaceful. And then as soon as the bell stops, no, but it's true. There's something about the quality of our breath when we sit down that we don't accept. We don't like it. We don't like that it's rough, that it's short, that it's shallow. But that is the practice. To accept it as it is and not to change it. That means sitting down on your cushion and breathing like this. You know when somebody wears headphones and they're not, they can't hear the sound that they're making, but you can. You're not wearing the headphones. You hear their breathing? It's often like that. So it's very interesting actually to sit down and allow our breathing to be short. In, out, in, out, out, in, out. And with that acceptance, our breathing naturally starts to slow down, to settle, to calm. It's like our mind, it's like our feelings, it's like our body. It takes time, patience, a little bit of stubbornness. I am so stubborn that I won't do anything to change my breath. That's how stubborn I am. No, I'm not going to do anything. Stubbornly lazy. I'm going to do nothing. And then we become interested. If you want to do a body scan in your practice, you can do it when you're walking, when you're sitting, when you're lying down. But what I found when I first learned the practice of body scans is it's quite hard to do an entire body scan, 45 minutes long, without either falling asleep, getting distracted or starting to daydream. So I wanted to find a way that I could enter into concentration, that I could open the door to a more stable and long-lasting form of concentration in body scan meditation. So I found, and I just share with you my practice, it's up to you to see what works for you or to try it out, see if it works, try something else, modify it, apply it, adapt it to your own situation. But what works for me is, again, if my mind is a little bit stirred up, I've been writing emails, it's a different state of mind, it's quite activated, quite energetic, and then I sit down and I want to do a body scan, or I lie down and want to do a body scan. I have to make it easy. So I have to do the easiest kind of body scan I possibly can. Right? And this might take 10 seconds. I think you can concentrate for 10 seconds and do a whole body scan. Okay, and for me it goes like this. I have a face. I have hands. Yep. Arms. Yep. Trunk, torso, pelvis, legs, feet, genitals. Yep. Check. Okay? That's a body scan. So when I'm saying those words, I'm not imagining those parts of my body, I'm sensing them, I'm feeling them from the inside. But I'm not trying to do anything more. I'm not trying to relax them. I'm not trying to be deeply aware of those parts of my body. I'm just checking, can I feel my face? Can I feel my hands? Yep. Can I feel my shoulders? Yep. Can I feel my chest, my abdomen? Yep. Can I feel my legs? Yep. My feet, my genitals? Yep. Okay. So then, from then, I've taken one step. Now I can do the same thing again, a little bit more deeply. I can say, face, yeah, I have a mouth. I can feel my tongue. I feel my nose. I can feel my eyes, my ears, my jaw, my forehead. I can feel my thumbs, my fingers, palms of my hands, my forearms, my upper arms, my shoulders, my neck, my upper back, my chest, my belly, my lower back, my pelvis, my legs, my feet, my toes, genitals. So now I'm starting to enter the door of concentration. And from there I can take one more step. Tongue. Oh. Is there anything there that would like to release? Is there anything in my palate, in my gums, or in my teeth that could release? Can I feel the skin around my lips, my nose, my nostrils? Can I feel the air coming up through my nose into my sinuses? Can I feel the tightness around my eyes and release any of it that wants to let go? Can I feel my forehead? Can I release my jaw? Can I notice my ears? And so on. And by then, I'm already well on the way to having stable concentration. And I can go deeper and deeper and deeper, but it's gradual. I don't try to jump straight to the most concentrated state. It won't work, and what I will experience is failure, what I will learn is failure, and I will get discouraged and I won't want to do it again. So I have to pick something really easy, really pleasant, really interesting, and gradually let it go deeper and deeper and deeper. Concentration is pleasant. Concentration is not hard work. Concentration is a source of happiness. It's a source of energy. And we can apply that same spirit of concentration in the walking meditation. When we haven't entered the kingdom of God yet, right? The kingdom of heaven. When our mind hasn't stopped yet. No, that's the nature of my mind. It's going to take a little bit more time. So, with concentration comes insight. The insight of this moment may be, what time is it? 10 past 11. Okay, right. So it's quite a long talk already. So thank you for your patience. I will try to wrap it up. So, we have problems, right? We have problems in our life. We have problems as a society. We have problems as a civilization. We have problems as a planet. Those problems are hard. They're really difficult. They're coordination problems. They're collective action problems. It's really difficult. People don't agree. It's really difficult. It's even difficult in our own lives to figure out what we should do, what we should not do. This practice, from right diligence to right mindfulness to right concentration to right insight, offers us a way to engage with life. It's not to avoid life, it's to engage with the challenges, with the suffering of life in a different way. So it's not, we don't engage with the problem in the usual way. So in the usual way, we try to figure it out. We try to solve with our mind the challenges that we are faced with. I should do this, or should I do that? I weigh up the pros and the cons and make a list, and I should call this person and write this email. The risk is that we may make the situation worse. Sometimes there's a problem in the Sangha, right? In the how to organize a retreat, how to organize a tour. Maybe not. Maybe there's never any problems, but it could be. I'm not saying in the Netherlands, of course. Other countries, there can be problems. And we have a tendency to want to solve it right away, to react, to do something, to call somebody, to write an email, to ask them, why didn't you do this, and you should have done that. No. We may make the situation worse if we're not careful. But there's another way. If you're listening to a friend who is suffering, you want to apply the practice of deep listening. You want to listen to their suffering in a way which is transformative for them, in a way which helps them to feel better. You sit with them. They start to share their pain. And you're following your breathing. Very good practitioner. I'm listening deeply. Not thinking, and then suddenly something comes up in your mind. I know what to do. I know how to help. And you may actually want to interrupt them and give them advice. Can happen. What I would recommend in that moment is to throw away that idea. Whatever it is, even if it seems like a really good idea. They should just do this. I know how to solve this problem. Throw it away. The first solution that your mind comes up with, generally speaking, will not be very good. But we can be very excited about it, and we can think that it's the best idea in the whole wide world, and we have to share it right now. But we may like to learn to notice that those first solutions that come up are generally not much good. May actually make the situation worse. They may make your friend feel like you were not listening at all. So you throw it away and you come back to the listening. And then another idea comes up, deeper, much better. Throw it away. Come back to the listening. We enter the concentration of deep listening where there is nothing apart from the sound of the other person's voice, the feelings in our body, the feeling of being with them. There's no interruption of reactivity, of thinking, of judging, of reacting, of problem solving, of fixing. All of that becomes quiet. But we have to be disciplined to keep throwing away those judgments and reactions and desire to fix. And we learn to trust the silence in our mind. And maybe, if we're lucky, something emerges from the silence which has the quality of insight. And when it does, you know. You could not have thought of it. It doesn't seem to be from you. You may realize that you don't need to say anything at all, that the only thing you need to do is to put your hand on their shoulder with so much love and tenderness that they know you are there. They know they are heard and they feel better. That may be the solution. Not saying something, not doing something. The solution may be very silent. The insight may be silent. You may not even be able to say it or to explain it to somebody. So we train ourselves to wait for the silence. To have the patience and a little bit of stubbornness to allow that silence to settle in our mind. And we can do the same when we face the problems of the world. We are aware of what is happening in India. We are aware of what is happening in Ukraine. We are aware of what is happening in our own country. We are aware of the suffering. We are in touch. But when we sit down and we contemplate and we want to give rise to the right kind of action for us and for the Sangha, it may be better to trust what emerges from silence. Sometimes if I have to write a piece of music, I'm under time pressure and somebody says they need it now. So my first response is to go to the paper and start writing something, and I have to do it. I don't have much time. I don't have enough time. I have to do it now. But I've learned over the years that if I do it like that, what comes out is generally predictable, not that interesting. You know, it's okay. At best, it's okay. But if I can have the courage to stop what I'm doing, to sit down on my cushion, to let go of any idea of writing a piece of music. It's very difficult because there's some part of me that really wants to fix it, to solve it, to write something, to meet the deadline. But if I can completely let go of that and be completely still, completely silent in the present moment, then somehow something may come out of the silence, something that I could not have thought of. And it has a different quality. And that is something that as a Sangha we can cultivate. Concentration in daily life, leading to insight in daily life. This is something that we can realize together in this retreat. And then we have a way to change our mind, to change our consciousness, to change our way of seeing, to go from the relative dimension where I am outside of you, you are outside of me, the problems are over there, I have my problems, they're my problems, your problems are your problems. Everything seems to be fragmented, We can go from that way of perceiving the world and perceiving the challenges that we face as a society to a deeper way, where we see the interbeing nature of all that is. We see the connection between our own suffering and the suffering of the world. We see the connection between our own joy and peace and the suffering of the world, or the joy and the peace of the world. We see that everything is in everything else. But we don't have to jump straight from the relative way of seeing things to the ultimate. There's a gradual path. And we can go gradually by applying the practice of right diligence, right mindfulness in daily life, gradually entering concentration, waiting for silence and for insight to arise. And this is the practice of going from the relative to the ultimate. But we go gradually. It's a gradual path, which is called the wisdom of adaptation. We adapt the practice to our state. We have the diligence, mindfulness, leading to concentration, and then we get the insight. We see the true nature of things. Okay, thank you for your patience and your tolerance. I'm sorry, it was quite a long talk. So let us enjoy 3 sounds of the bell, and we can forget about everything we just heard.